It's Friday. Where are my peoples at? Hey, St. Mark Lions, are you here? Where's my AAU people? Ohio, we got a couple Ohioans. OH, I know you're saying the IO. Where's my family? I hope my family's here because the ratings go way up when the family's here. You know, this is Friday. We're excited. We got plenty to do. So let's start the show.
Yeah, I'm ready. We'll just talk to them.
Let's start the show. Yes.
Okay.
We're in the shadow of LAX. That's right down the street, more or less. In the 7428 studio, the revered 7428 studio. Jimbo's at the controls. That's Buck. That's the kick it out Buck. He just lays there. You know, we have plenty of social media for you to digest. That's right, sportsstoriespodcast.com. You always can get everything from that location. You can info us at. Hit me up on Twitter. I need more action there. There's our Instagram. On YouTube, everything's available on YouTube. So you can always go there. And our podcasts that come out on Thursday are available wherever you listen. Hey, we go 5 days a week. Thursday, we drop the podcast. The rest of the days, we're doing this out of the 7428 studio. Nice. And it looks almost exactly like that right now outside. All right. So we got a lot of excitement. I mean, I always say we're going to break the internet, but I think we might tonight. We got all kinds of people, and Marley's going to preview them. First, I want to say something about last week. Stealing Home, the author, Eric Nussbaum, he was great. VBC show was on Tuesday. That was nutty, and I think a lot of people had a lot of fun with that. So on Wednesday, we let's see. Oh, there you go. Wednesday, Catherine Plummer, Dr. Roger Gowdy. You know, tonight, trivia night for a cause with Catherine Plummer. And you can see it's at Catherine Plummer on Instagram Live. As soon as we're done here, flip up over there. That's at 7 o'clock. We should be done a little bit before that. And she's trying to raise some money. And what a great person she is, trying to do the right thing. I call her the greatest collegiate volleyball player of all time. That's Dr. Gowdy right there. That's Grajeda over there on the right side. Okay, Dr. Gowdy was on our show. He updated the nation, if not the world. All right, that is Jimmy Lennon Jr., my cousin. He's a subject of the Thursday podcast that dropped yesterday. Okay, if you want to interact with the show, just post your comments. And make sure that you watch live on our 4 nights a week of Facebook Live. That's how you can participate. Okay, what did I miss? I know. I want to talk about Houston Mitchell. Oh, next week? Okay, yeah, I'll go next week. I'll go to next week. So let me look at my board. You know who's on next week? Dwier Brown. He's on the end of tonight, but on Monday he'll do long form. He's got a great story to tell about Field of Dreams. He was in the last 5 minutes. He played Kevin Costner's father in that pivotal scene, but it changed his life, those 5 minutes. We'll go long form on Monday. He'll preview that at the end of this one. Come Tuesday, another VBC show. Wednesday, we do our high school to Olympians. And next Thursday will be Jimmy Lennon Part 2. It's going to be a 4-part series, so it's going to be really good. Friday, I have confirmed Wesley King, the author of Kobe's. He collaborated with Kobe for this series of books that's kind of like basketball meets Harry Potter. It's a pretty cool series, but we'll get a chance to dive in, find out what Kobe was like in that process. All right, and that's Wesley King. He'll be on. Tim Leary. You know, Tim Leary was 1988 World Series champion Dodgers. You know that big Kirk Gibson home run? It didn't happen if it wasn't for Tim Leary. He went 3 scoreless innings in that day, on that game. Okay, we also will probably be bringing back Shea Cotton, who's on tonight, as well as a couple of other guests we're working on. All right, Houston Mitchell. We ready for Houston Mitchell? I'll just say it. Here's the thing. Houston Mitchell writes for the Los Angeles Times. I've been going after him. Hey, come on the show. He's such a good writer, and he's really funny, good writer, and he's got a great thing going on Twitter right now, and so you should look it up on Twitter. Just find his handle. It's Houston Mitchell with the LA Times. It's a LA Icon Tournament, so he's got these different divisions, football, basketball, baseball, and then a wild card division. And he put 32 LA icons in every one, and you're allowed to vote, and they move on accordingly. I'm already in the second round now. And it's brilliant. It's really fun. It's very engaging. Why don't everybody just hit them up? It's like Houston Mitchell at LA Times. I'll be like Beyonce say you guys be like the Beehive, and let's go after them and find them and get them on this show because it's a really good concept that I want to steal for some other reasons. But also, let's bring him on. He's a good guest. We already talked about KP's trivia, and I think that's about it. Remember, we've signed a long-term deal with Box Cobbler Entertainment because a lot of people, he's blowing up on me. So if you find out about Box Cobbler Entertainment, you'll see. Yeah, that guy's going. All right. There you go. At LA Times Houston. That's our boy. Okay. I say let's go over to Venice. Let's go.
Venice.
Yeah. In Venice Beach is a producer of the podcast, Marley Rice. We call it Studio 51. There it is. Hi, Marley.
Hi, guys. You're probably wondering where this awesome mask came from.
That's the first thing I thought.
Lennon Collective on Instagram. You can go order yours. They're made.
Oh, sick. Hey, Marley, I talked to you. We need to start monetizing the show a little bit. So I'm going to ask you a question. Who are you wearing tonight?
My hat is Brixton, really cool company. And my shoes, my sister Avery got them for my birthday. With my camera, Freebird.
Wow. Brilliant.
The rest of it, not really anything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but that's good. At least.
What are you wearing?
Oh, thank you for asking. I mean, this whole thing. This would be Aviator Nation sweatshirt. And then of course going to show the Under Armour because we're always pitching them, and I'm supporting. See, we're talking basketball, soccer. I mean, we're talking basketball, boxing, and baseball tonight. So I'm supporting our soccer franchise, which is the Los Angeles football.
We ever went to.
Yeah. So good. I'm glad we did that. So I think we're settling in on Studio 51.
I like it.
But considering it's Venice Beach, Area 51 works too. But anyways, there we are.
Area 51 was in Venice Beach. Where is that exactly?
That's in New Mexico.
Okay.
But some of the things you see in Venice Beach
could be
not unlike what you could see if Area 51 ever opened.
It's true.
How about we do this? Why don't you preview the show?
Let me do it. Well, coming to you live from Studio 51, we have an exciting lineup for you today on our Facebook Live at 5. I'm going to come up with a jingle eventually. Today we have Shea Cotton, the subject of the documentary Man-Child. I'm excited about that. Dwier Brown is on the show. He's the author of If You Build It, and I'm excited to hear all about his story and read the book maybe. Chris Geeter McGee, I told you he was a Laker broadcaster, but did I ever tell you he won a car on The Price is Right? Look up our podcast and see that. Jimmy Love Jr. is on the show, Hall of Fame boxing announcer. Part 1 of his podcast came out yesterday. Go check that out on YouTube. Ray Boom Boom Mancini is on the show virtually. He's not really in our building. Former professional boxer. And if you're joining us live right now, you can post any questions, comments, and you may see them answered live on our show. So I'm really excited for this lineup, and I can't wait to get this happy hour started for our Facebook Live at 5. That's it. That's all I got for you, Denny.
Here I am. Hey, well played. Well played. Let's go not far from you, probably within a mile or so. Casablanca.
A mile, I think.
Yeah, let's go find Carlos.
2 minutes to get there.
Vámonos a Casablanca, vámonos a Casablanca, la comida para la familia. Vámonos a Casablanca, vámonos a Casablanca.
Wow.
Cobbler Entertainment came through with that.
Hey, Rick Castro is blowing up. Okay, we vamonos to Casablanca, so now it's time to say hello to Vamanito himself. Carlos, what up?
Hi, Carlos.
How you guys doing over there?
Carlito, what are you standing in front of there?
Now this is a mural we've had, and right around here is
there he is.
Humphrey Bogart. And
It's him playing Rick Wayne, right?
That's right. In the background, you have Morocco, and the movie Casablanca takes place.
Brilliant. Well done. Well done. I like seeing parts of the restaurant. It's got so much memorabilia in there besides your guys' good food and drink. And so when we're all allowed to go outside again, we can't wait to go there. But in the meantime, I know you got deals. You got deals for people that want to order from you.
Yeah, I got a deal for tomorrow just for the people at your podcast. Just say Denny Sports. Denny Sports Stories, and we have a margarita, tortillas, and green salsa special. Regular price $20 for you guys. It's $17. So just give me a call that number, and we'll get that for you.
Carlos, I'm making an effort to monetize things. So do I get $1.50? That would be a split on that $3 discount.
We might have to do something about that with all the calls I'm getting from you. So we have to figure out what to do with that.
Good. And also, in an effort to monetize, who are you wearing tonight, Carlos?
I'm not quite sure, but I think this is I don't know what you guys are going with this, but I'm just wearing my old chef jacket from Casablanca. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Yes. Good
yes.
enough.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm good.
Good
do
enough.
I need to wear something different, or do I have to get a sponsor for my wardrobe, or are you going to sponsor us now? For the new
you know what? Under Armour, Aviator Nation, I don't know. We're calling them all out. Let's go.
Is his phone ringing because of our phone number?
You know what? I heard your phone ringing.
I swear to God, they started calling. I got to go pick it up before. So yeah, you guys are already calling like instantly.
Carlos, we have a fair amount of people watching in Ohio tonight because that's where Boom Boom Mancini and Dwier Brown are both from. And do you just want to get it clear? Do you, from your restaurant in Venice, California, deliver to Ohio?
Well, for Ray, we'll deliver to his kids.
I don't want to drive up there, guys.
Sick. Hey, I think it's time to cheers. Let's get the party started.
All right, guys.
Sangria, it's so good.
Oh, you like that? I changed it up for you guys.
I love it. Cheers, everybody out there. We hope you enjoyed this show. We have a great lineup for you. Happy Facebook Live Friday.
Yeah. See, every week she knows I'm going to do it, and so we got her a little bit early. Boom. Hey, Carlos, I know that you were the connection to get us to Shea Cotton, which is terrific. I wish you were also his internet connection, because then he would be waiting to come on the show.
Well, but he's going to come on. He's a great guy, and I think once he hears a story,
he's a terrific guy. He just hasn't found a way through his internet connection at where he's located to our virtual studio.
I relate to it because I've been having internet problems all day, so I relate to that.
Carlos, tell me a little bit about Shea, and then we'll probably get him on hopefully later in the show. So cue to our guest. You may have to speed up the process, but tell me a little bit about Shea Cotton, because I know you were influenced by him when you were in your years of playing ball.
So when I got Shea Cotton, the first time I came around him, I went to a basketball game. He was a sophomore, and we went to the pond, and I had never seen this before. Now, this is before the internet. A lot of people don't know, and all I heard is Shea Cotton, Shea Cotton. We get there, and literally it's a line that looks like a Star Wars or the iPhone 12 coming out. It was huge. And literally, as I said before to you, I don't remember who else was who they played against, who else was on the team. All I know is when it was the most amazing game I ever saw. He was a sophomore, and to this day, he sold out the pond. This is before that, I had never seen him. We had gone to like a CIF championship at Santa Monica College, and I think it was like 1,000 people at the most, and we thought that's a huge crowd. This is the pond. It was sold out, and I guess anyone who was there would not remember anybody else but Shea Cotton. I mean, this guy was a phenom before LeBron, and the one thing he was in the Sports Illustrated, he had an article on him as a sophomore, which this was unknown. So, I mean, this guy, if you ever hear a story, and to this day, I think he is just a legend in high school and basketball in L.A. Stories people tell.
Yeah, no doubt. He was he was that phenom that got all that attention, well before, like you said, the internet. But it was there was a way. It was like a national story. It wasn't just us that knew about him out here in SoCal. It was a national story. Everybody knew who Shea was. He was like 6 foot, 180 pounds when he's 12 years old. So he was on people's radar at that time, like when he was that young. And then he was just awesome in high school.
Yeah, he was incredible. And you got to remember, there wasn't any national. You couldn't get any national attention. There was no YouTube. So if people knew him across the country, it's because he was that good that just word would get around. When he would play national tournaments, people would just say Shea Cotton, and suddenly everybody had to go see him. That was how much of a phenom he was. That
he sure was.
Yeah,
he was something else. Hey, Carlos. Do we have Geeter? Is Geeter lined up?
Geeter is lined up.
Hey, Carlos. I know I was going to bring you in with Shea, but I think you're a Laker fan as well. So maybe we ought to bring in the studio host for the Lakers the one and only Chris Geeter McGee. Geeter, where are you at?
What's up, guys?
How you doing,
What's
Chris?
up?
How we doing?
Good.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Hear you great, buddy. You catching up on some leisure time now that the Lakers season? Oh, look at over my shoulder here. You'll notice I'm hanging the banner. They would have won the championship for this year.
Oh, man. Yeah, I just got off a first of all, forget the Lakers for a second. I got to give love to Carlos, man, and I'm drinking one of his margaritas right now.
Cheers, buddy.
The family's already thrown down the enchiladas, and we're doing tacos later. So thank you so much, Carlos.
Thank you.
Well done. You know,
Hey, listen, man,
Geeter,
I'm gonna
back
be
in the day,
Hey,
decent
listen,
player.
real quick though. You know, I got to tweet out Casablanca, man. I got to tell everyone to get over there for the specials.
Oh yeah, you do. If the things would have broke right for Carlos, you know, you might be calling his action while you're sitting behind that studio desk with James Worthy and Derek Fisher, because he was quite the player when he was a youngster.
Where'd you go to high school, Carlos?
I went to
That's how we do it, Geeter. Did you see that?
Did you just cut him?
Yeah, that's good, huh? I wait till it gets. They wait
Where
till the
do you go to high
emotional moment. You know, he's gone now. Doesn't matter. Samuel High.
Where's Monica's?
Samuel High.
No, St. Monica. Wait, let me think. No, I think he was a St. Monica boy. But point being, swiped him right out of there when he was about to tell his life story, and I feel good about that.
Someone's really upset that you might swipe over the screen.
Geeter, tell me what's going on at
no.
the house, buddy. Tell me what's going on at the house.
So, you know, the kids are doing school. You know, we try to set up a little volleyball out there in the street when we can. We're definitely doing some workouts to try to, you know, stay healthy and keep the mind right. But you know, if there's a silver lining in all of this, and I'm sure you've heard it, I mean, you know, this opportunity to have family dinners for us is awesome. To be together, you know, this is you know, the NBA season is long, and I work a lot of nights, so I've actually really enjoyed being around the family. I hate the reason, but there's definitely a silver lining. You had mentioned the Lakers. You know, the playoffs would have started this weekend. Lakers would have been a 1 seed, probably a 12:30 game on ABC Sunday or 2:30. For sure, we were going to be in one of those slots. So I'm a little bit bummed, man, to be honest with you. We just got word today. Adam Silver had a conference call. You know, they won't even start talking about it till June 1st, man. So, you know, for them to salvage this season is going to be difficult, but I know they have about 50, 60 scenarios that they're going through.
Oh, that's trippy. You know, in one of our boxes here, we got you when you came to do your interview at the 7428 studio, right? And everybody's got to take a shot out back when they come in. And yours has been the most impressive so far. Let's see if we can play that. Show our Facebook Live audience.
Marley will back me. First take.
First take. Oh, yeah. Bucket. Just called it while it was in the air. That was legit.
And our good friend, your cousin Michael Boley, the great high school volleyball coach at Loyola High School, who's like the John Wooden of high school volleyball. He's a little bummed because he missed his shot, and he's a great athlete, and it bothers him that I hit mine on the first take.
He's on record as of trying to, like, you know, get that footage purged and then reshoot it, and so we're just sitting on that in case we need to.
Totally.
Geeter, you know, those of us regionally out here know you from your studio work, but you know, you got a background in athletics yourself, all CIF basketball player at Crespi, and then you played volleyball at Cal State Northridge, got all the way to the NCAA championships one year, captain of the team. We have a little mashup we put together on video, and maybe you'll get a opportunity, you know, a little thing here. Let's see what we got. Christine, can you
want to? I'm going to fast forward through Catherine and Millie then.
Oh, wait. Okay. I didn't cue this properly. I'm not slick as you, Geeter. The other day, your daughter was on our show with Catherine Plummer.
We love this, by the way.
So this is good.
One's back here.
Yeah, there it is.
I have AAU ones here. all.
A few of them. Thanks. A few of them.
Let's see. Oh, I have some AAU ones up here.
So Catherine was a
I
great
have
collegiate
AAU ones here.
but also played AAU beach volleyball, and there's sharing there. So
Sorry.
And I got a feeling you know where I'm going next. But was that exciting for Millie to be on the screen with Catherine?
Oh man, that was so cool. My wife and I were upstairs, kind of videoing it off the computer. She was downstairs in a room, and it was just so cute. We watched it a bunch of times. Catherine's face was great when she saw Millie's medals. Catherine, I don't know if Catherine realizes now you can play in a different beach volleyball tournament every single weekend at 12. Probably wasn't that way when she was 12.
Right.
Catherine was so great, and I was so sad that it froze up because Millie had a bunch of questions ready, but it was perfect. But I did hit Catherine up on the side on Instagram, told her how much we appreciate it, and she's like, if Millie has more questions, send them along. And man, what a great person to win that award! What a great person to have on your podcast. Talk about a role model, and I'm with you, man. Like when you break down the sport of women's college volleyball, which I think is the best women's collegiate sport. She's up there as the GOAT, man. She's right up there as the best all time with the Carries and Misties and all those guys indoor that crushed it. Liz Massakayan and all those guys. Three
NCAA titles. I think 3 Player of the Years. Legit. Geeter, one other thing I was going to tell you before we get on to something else is you and I did that interview here at the studio, and it was almost like a week before Kobe died. And that was such a big moment in our city, let alone the country. And I just got to compliment you. So everybody that's watching, you did such a great job of anchoring that coverage on Sportsnet. It was so personal. And also you kept a high level of journalism to it, but it just really did have a heartbeat. And congratulations on the work you did. I know you would like to do that work in other areas like you do, but it was really nice to be there with you through that.
No, I mean, I honestly really appreciate that. I mean, you and I have known each other a long time. We're friends. You and I talked a lot during that time. But I do appreciate your words because, as I always tell people, like you can't really practice for days like that. So, or times like that. So when you're going through it, you really don't know how to act. And those 2 weeks, it was really 2 weeks that we were doing just basically Kobe shows. It's a very somber tone. You're distraught and sad yourself, but getting through those moments with other people you work with and trying to tell the story the right way and be respectful to everybody. It's difficult, but I was really proud of the work we all did at Spectrum, man. I thought we covered it awesome. And I'll tell you, you were there. You and I texted that morning and you got a ticket. It's crazy to think that was less than a couple months ago, Kobe passing, but it was a month ago, the month and a half ago, Kobe's service, the memorial. And that was, man, what an event to be at. And I know you appreciated being there, but one story I'll tell you from there, Denny, was, so it was about 7:15 in the morning and I was there really early because I wasn't on till later and I wasn't going live, but I was going to do about 4 or 5 interviews and I had a room set up kind of right by the Laker locker room, really tiny room by the weight room where the guys have a weight room there at the bottom of Staples. And it's right by the tunnel where the guys walk out. And I'm telling you, I was walking through the halls of Staples with my producer and you just hear this amazing voice singing. And you're kind of like, wait, it's 7:15 in the morning. I'm at Staples. Kobe's service is in a couple hours. This is a booming voice. Wow, this is beautiful. Oh my God, that's Beyonce. And I walked out into the arena and it was Beyonce by herself with the choir practicing that song.
Wow.
And dude, it was the most surreal moment. Dude, Denny, there's nobody there.
Oh.
And it was such a trip, dude. And then you'll freak out on this. Fast forward about 45 minutes. I didn't know MJ was talking. Now my boss knew, they'd been kind of tipped off that he was. I didn't know at this time MJ was going to talk, but MJ walks right by me and he goes right to like the guy who's going to be running the prompter and the producer of the event. And he's like talking to the guy and he's going through his speech and he's 10 yards away from me. And I'm like, oh, MJ's going to talk. Like, I didn't know. So like all those things that happened before the event even went down were pretty amazing when I look back on it in retrospect. Wow, I was right there for all that, you know.
Yeah, that was something else. It was that whole lineup that came up. Hey, I'm shifting gears. You mentioned MJ and virtually everybody, you're a student of basketball. Everybody comes out and gives him the greatest of all time tag. I want to say happy birthday to the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That was yesterday. He turned, I think, 73. And I think he should at least be in that conversation.
I think you and I might have talked about this on your podcast. I'm totally with you. I am 100% okay giving Jordan the GOAT, and I do myself, as long as Cap is in the conversation.
Yeah,
if you don't put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the conversation, you don't know what you're talking about. The other day I saw a list, and I actually agreed with like the top 10 list, maybe one or two guys, but it had Kareem 8 and like Larry Bird 3. And like, listen, it's not the Boston LA thing, but I was like, dude, you can't have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 8 on a top 10. First of all, he's the greatest college player of all time. It's not even up for debate.
That's not,
6 titles, 6 MVPs, 38,000 points. You know it, Denny, but like for him not to be in the top 2 or 3 is a joke. I'm sorry.
I think so. I'm with you. Hey, we're going to throw something else up, but Geeter, I was trying to find ways to monetize this. And so I got to ask you what you're wearing tonight. Who are you wearing tonight?
Didn't you text me that earlier? No, I'm just kidding. You know what? I had a workout and then I had a conference call from work. And basically I'm wearing just like an SCVC sweatshirt, the club that I helped coach my daughter, that's all I got, dude. That's all I'm rolling.
Okay. You don't know, you don't know where it's going to crack, but you're nothing down below. I mean, I know you're a broadcaster that sits at a booth.
Christine.
Yeah,
listen, I just got boardies on, man. You know me. I'm rolling with boardies.
I think people know you as a very, on point guy behind the desk in the Lakers studio, but they don't know where your career started on The Price is Right as a senior at Cal State Northridge, where you took a bunch of your buddies, and then here comes, you get called out by, I think Roddy was his name, Rowdy or whatever. He calls you out and you put on a show. And I think we got that. Do we have that on a little bit of video? The Price is Right thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Give me a second here.
We got it. And the people are going to like this. If you guys dive into our podcast, we break it down. But here, it's a little bit beyond that. And then right on the back side of that, you'll see some of Geeter announcing on AVP Tour. That's where he made his bones. So let's see what we got going here.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, you want to see more of that, you go to our YouTube channel. We have it there. Geeter's got it as well on a place. And the whole deal at him on The Price is Right is, okay, I'm going to use the line priceless. AVP, Pro Beach Volleyball, is where, Geeter traveled and made a lot of noise as an announcer, as a MC. All the way to the Olympics, Geeter. You were MCing at the Olympic Games and then on the Today Show. What the heck?
Yeah, man, I got pretty lucky with that, Denny. By the way, thank you for that little compilation there. That little mashup was pretty special.
Do what we can. We do.
Yeah, the AVP I announced for. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Am I back? Hi. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I started announcing the AVP, 1998, 1999. I did that for, 15 years. That was my job when I was, I was a PE teacher, an athletic director at Wildwood School. I coached at Campbell Hall. I coached club volleyball for boys and girls. And and the AVP was kind of where I got my start announcing and really got my TV career going. But yeah, I would say definitely, you know, the peak of that for me was definitely being invited to the Beijing Olympics and being able to announce Carrie Misty's final, Phil and Todd's final in front of all those people, 20,000 people in China. And then after that, being invited onto the Today Show to introduce those guys. It was really one of the great moments in my career, to be honest with you.
Geeter, I got a cousin who's coming up right behind you here, and he's made a lifetime.
Yeah, is he ready?
Yeah, he's made a lifetime of announcing other people, and I'd love it if you, my second favorite announcer, would maybe bring him to the screen.
Is he ready? Because I think it's time. I think it's time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the United States of America. His whole life, he has introduced others, but it is his time and his day to get his due. He was born the son of a legend in the beautiful, sunny Southern California out of Sam Mo High School in a Bruin out of UCLA. He has announced some of the greatest boxing and MMA fights of all time. 1,000 title fights in over 35 countries. He was there when Buster shocked the world and knocked out Mike. He was there to catch Holyfield's ear when Mike took a bite. He speaks multiple languages. He's in the World International Boxing Hall of Fame, and he has the voice of an angel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, it's showtime, Mr. Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Without a doubt, the best introduction I've ever had. Nothing close.
Oh man, I had a lot. Hey, it's an honor. You're the best. You kidding me? You're the GOAT. So I had to give you something. Isn't it crazy that you've never been introduced?
No, I love it that way. And by you, that's the best.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Jimmy.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it.
Geeter, why don't you tell my cousin there what's the biggest one you the biggest I don't know, was it Today Show? What was your biggest announcing gig?
Yeah, I don't know, Jimmy. For me, like, man, it was crazy. You know, I was kind of
okay. See, isn't that rude? Can you believe that?
That's
I know. And as my older cousin, you have the right to discipline me. I get that. And you should see the email I get from my older cousins when I do dismiss these people from the show. I just think it's kind of funny.
One thing that gives me, some comfort is I know it won't happen to me. So,
right.
That. And by the way, before you do ask, I think it's Calvin Klein, Levi's, and it's either Fruit of the Loom or Hanes. I'd have to disrobe.
Yeah, that's okay. We can wait on that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh man, I get it. We got to see Geeter's shot. Right now, we get a chance to look at your shot when you came here to do your interview, Jamie.
Kind of a different approach I took.
Yep. Boom. Shooting percentage 1,000.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous. That was quite a challenge for me.
Speaking of, there's another thing I wanted to let Geeter know. Now that he's gone, it's kind of fun to talk about him because he's very quick on the draw. So it's better that he's not in the screen. You have officially passed him on YouTube views on your podcast.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, very good. That was a lot of fun. I must compliment you. You asked me some questions no one has asked me before.
Oh, that's
and I'm not just talking about the television show, on the Waltons. I'm talking about in general. It's really an excellent conversation we had.
Thank you. I think I dug in and found that you're on an episode of Heaven Can Wait. No, not Heaven Can Wait. Highway to Heaven with Michael.
Highway to Heaven. That's right. Yeah.
Who doesn't want to listen to that?
And I think I just got a 19-cent residual for that recently. So, we're living large here. Speaking of living large, we can't delay. I just am thrilled about this delivery from Casablanca. And Carlos, you're doing a great job. And
yes,
one of the things, a little cheer. I love to cook, and we're eating real well now. But the one thing is, I just get a craving for good, authentic Mexican food, and that's what we have here tonight. And that's one of the things that I really think we should be doing is supporting our local restaurants. And nothing better than Casablanca. It's authentic, it's original, delicious, and it's something that's for me a little bit hard to make at home.
Did you have you seen the film? I take it you've seen it, but maybe not for a while.
It has been a while.
It's fun to, like, bring that, back up, because it's so easy to find everything with streaming services now. And then you watch it, and then when you go in there, they have such a large collection of memorabilia there. It might be like the first or second most in the world, and because they have like a grandfather deal with MGM, I think, that distributed it, or Warner Brothers rather. And so they have all of this terrific memorabilia there. So you get to walk through that, and they got a kick-ass bar, and then homemade tortillas and the whole thing. So when we're all free to go.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere. It's a great theme there, and people are good, and fresh tortillas, fantastic.
When we did the interview, it was just prior to the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury 2. Was that 2? Yeah, that just came off, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to tell a little bit, because I've never seen introductions that entertaining. I mean, entries into the ring that entertaining. Never seen that. But at the weigh-in got kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, it sure did get crazy. They're part showmen, but at that point, the guys are serious, and they're seriously annoyed, and they've gone through the months of preparations and so forth. And I see you have on the screen here a moment where Deontay Wilder really scared the dickens out of me. Because he was yelling at Fury, bomb squad, but it was right behind my ear in the middle of a sentence. And,
he was yelling bomb squad?
Yeah, that's his signature line, is to yell bomb squad. And it was right in my ear.
Oh, and how about
he's a really nice guy, because he apologized after. Oh, sorry, Jimmy, I'm sorry about that. So he's I forgave him completely.
He knows if push came to shove, you're going to throw down.
He knows who he's dealing with. Yes. And there's the entrance into the ring, and according to Deontay Wilder, him wearing that heavy suit had a lot to do with his legs being weakened. He didn't look good that night at all. And I've backpacked and carried that much weight, and it is pretty exhausting. To do that right before a fight was foolish. So it looks like you're going to do it again if we get back into the sport of boxing.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you're going to come in, I think you get carried in by a series of people.
Absolutely. And maybe being massaged as you're coming in would be helpful.
Yes. What are some of the other crazy? Now, you did so many Tyson fights, and I would imagine his weigh-ins were a little crazy, let alone his antics in the ring.
Yeah, for sure. I remember one weigh-in before the fight with Lennox Lewis. There was so much heat because there was, at that press conference, there was really a tragedy that happened where they got into a fight and actually injured some people that were on the stage. Right. But the weigh-in, they made sure that they weighed in 1 hour apart, and so they weren't even together. Lennox Lewis came in a Hummer, and they put him on the scale. An hour later, Tyson came in. I've seen a weigh-in. It was Fernando Vargas and Ricardo Mayorga, where they're both in cages to separate them. And yeah, it was part of the PR, certainly, but they had heated moments before the fight, the fight, and before, at the press conferences. So, they were in cages to weigh in. So that was kind of fun. So yeah, those things happen in boxing, and there I am, scared again.
There it is. Tyson is one, but the other one that was so interesting, I think we talk about it in episode 2 or 3 of what your podcast will be coming up, was the Julio Cesar Chavez in Mexico City, and you were talking about 135,000 people.
Yeah, and I got a sense of it as we were talking about the weigh-in, because prior to prior to the weigh-in, he was just doing a public workout, and so many people came and mobbed him there that they actually had to take him out in a helicopter. He was an idol in Mexico. And then, of course, it ended up being the biggest fight, the largest crowd ever to see a fight, 135,000 people at Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. And, he's just such a legend of the sport, and such an idol to the people.
Yeah. Going back to Tyson too, I think we talked about the Buster Douglas fight, and you talked about being over in Tokyo and how they just had a different approach to the fight game. You know, that it was kind of eerily quiet there, and that he, you know, wasn't getting the attention from the media, and you really kind of set the scene. It was cool.
Yeah, it really was something. It was cool for me. It was my first mega fight, a really big fight like that. To be over there was such an honor, and then to be in this culture of Japan, which I'd never been before. And yeah, the scene was that with maybe 40,000 people in the stadium there, and we're watching history unfold with the biggest upset in the history of sports, perhaps, and people were just applauding, cheering, and it was just so quiet. That is their culture. And even to this day, I've been to Japan many times now, even to this day, it's a different atmosphere. They're very quiet but appreciating the sport and supportive. And yeah, that was quite an unusual experience.
For those that don't know the story, your father, my uncle, Jimmy Lennon, was a boxing announcer, and you know, you learned under him. And I don't know if you could just kind of speak to that a little bit. I would imagine the first time you did a fight at the Olympic Auditorium, his stomping grounds, his place, that must have been something special.
Yeah, it really was something special. People, you know, especially during those times, said, "Oh, did you just try to imitate him and mimic him?" And I would say no, because he was really the only announcer I watched and saw. I went to the fights, went to the wrestling, and that's just who I was and just who I saw and who taught me. And he gave me a lot of tips. I think my first fight was at the Forum, in a real undercard fight, no one there. But I do remember doing the fights at the Olympic Auditorium, as you mentioned, one of my first ones. And it was incredible how supportive he was, because of all things, the first fight at the Olympic Auditorium that I announced, I mean, his stomping grounds, ended up being a pretty complicated, controversial stoppage where there was an unintentional headbutt and it had to be stopped. Therefore, we had a technical decision, go to the scorecards, and it was a split decision. And, you know, and I remember him being, you know, he was so good to me. He was just very proud and kind of excited that I had a difficult, challenging announcement to make on my first fight there, and I pulled it off.
Wow. The Olympic Auditorium was a special place. I remember loving the fact that when I went there, and I was younger, when I went there, that it was just a little bit dangerous, or at least perceived dangerous, and that maybe a fight would break out or a chair would get thrown. You know, just that smell of beer on the floor and it's sweat or what?
Or whatever, beer or something else.
Yeah. And it was, I don't know, there's something so unique and cool about it, because it was LA, and you'd always see boxing in New York and those, you know, smoke-filled, dingy arenas, but we had our own version in LA.
Oh, we sure did, and it was one of the loudest arenas of my memory. I mean, the cement walls would just reverberate the sound of the fanatic crowd, and yeah, the smell and the beer, and there were regulars there too, not only at ringside, but the regular beer sellers and you know, concession sellers, and it was all the same people, and it was yeah, it was a good memory, and it was a little dangerous. I don't think it was just your imagination; it really was a little dangerous.
Yeah, it was. I went with, it's funny, I just saw this crawl, you know, a lot of people are writing comments, but my brother Jeff just wrote in, and your dad, our uncle, would leave tickets for us at Will Call. And then we would just, you know, we'd drive there from Venice, and we pick up those tickets. And I almost wore it like a badge of honor that I'd have a little blood on my shirt on the way home, you know, because those fights, those referees did not stop those fights.
No. And you could get close to the action and so forth. I got to tell you a quick story about my dad giving you passes. You know, he used to open up the back door and let some kids who couldn't afford to come in, and he let them into the arena. Oh, nice. And more than once, in fact, 2 people have told me I was one of those kids, and 2 separate people living in separate towns but grew up in LA. And one of them both of them became quite big in the sport of boxing. One is a supervisor for the WBA, and the other is the right-hand man for Al Heyman and Premier Boxing Champion. And yes, so they would say, yeah, I was one of those kids. And sometime an usher would kind of, you know, give me a tough time. I'd sit ringside, and my dad, you know, Jimmy would say, No, he's okay. Leave him alone. He's okay. He had a huge heart. It's really nice to hear those stories.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. And when I visit with a lot, I'm fortunate in this because you visit with a lot of different people in sports, but they have that moment when they were a kid and it's the first ballpark they went to, or the first, big arena they went to, or something along those lines that can set them on a different course or just, stay in their memory forever. And that's so neat, that we all should be doing that if we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which it reminds me, you didn't open up the door at Staples Center when Wilder and Fury fought the first time, and I just stood outside.
I feel a little bad about that. I'm sorry. Trying to make it up for you.
So we got something here. If Christina will pull it up, it's you coming to the backyards of Venice on Harding Avenue for our Venice Backyard Championship. And we got some local news coverage. So it's interesting that you've announced some of the biggest sporting events in the world, but let's listen to what you have to say here.
Controversies, the excitements, the thrills here at the world's largest backyard volleyball tournament is so much greater than anything I've been involved in the past. I can't describe it to you.
Right. So much greater. This is a direct quote. So much greater than anything I've ever been involved with. And I want to know, are you going to stand by that?
Of course. It still stands. I don't know how many years later, but it is very special. I should have worn one of the shirts that I got. That's what I should have worn tonight.
Yeah. And you could have said, I'm wearing Kevin Lennon design.
Yes.
I
still have them.
Oh, do you? Oh,
absolutely.
Those are collector items. Like Kevin, he's a big designer, along with like an architect these days. I think we have another clip. Let's see what this one. So let's see what else you state here.
Oops, sorry.
I believe it's grown to this. In fact, it started. My dad always did the midday ceremonies, and my dad would come back and say, "Oh, it's a great afternoon. It's really getting great. You can't believe how much attention. It's just grown from there." I've done it for Denny for about the past 3-4 years. The king and queen represent all the ideals of a strong tradition of backyard play, character worthy of the Jack Lennon sportsmanship nod of approval, serving ethics that live up to the standards of Uncle Tom like a wasted point Lennon, stature, grace, hustle, and determination that stands out in a crowd of backyard players. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's our king. This legend claims to have invented the jump serve and to have been kicked out of 4 tournaments. Ladies and gentlemen, the colorful 1995 BBC King, the one and only Bogey. This backyard volleyball capital of the world is her yard. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1995 BBC Queen, Jeanette Lennon.
Russia, being able to see my mom like that and you introducing her is, of course, really special. The other thing that when your dad would do those, and then when you come to it, you got to understand, my friends or whoever was there would just freak the F out. They could not believe the same guy who called the biggest world championship events was just announcing them. And this was just our tournament. It was so cool.
Those are some great footages. For me, I've never seen that before. Wow, that's really a treat.
Well, we're running with the fact that you said it was, I'll just paraphrase, that you said it was the greatest event you've ever been involved in.
You got it.
Okay, fair enough. That's what we're going to run with. Speaking of which, some of the greats, I last night, preparing diligently for this broadcast, watched The Good Son, the documentary on Boom Boom Mancini. Okay. And it is such a sweet and just, every part of it was so interesting that I thought maybe there's nothing better than to bring them onto this show with your introduction. And I'm wondering if you're up for doing that.
Oh, I would be honored to do that. Ray's a good friend, and we spent so many years together and still work together. I'll introduce him like in the ring, like he deserves.
Well, how about this? We're going to stretch right now because Ray was on, and now he's you know what? I think Ray, his son, is going to make sure he gets back up in the queue. But it's pretty exciting that you're going to do that.
I have something I'd like to say before I introduce Ray, since we got to stretch a little bit. You're going to have Tim Leary come on your show coming up.
Yes, next week.
Well, Tim and I went to Samurai together the same year. Leary, Lennon, we were alphabetically next to each other. He used to turn around during class, because I would sit behind him in alphabetical order, and he would make me laugh in the middle of class, kind of get me into trouble. You got to ask if he can still do it. He would take his ears and fold them into each other, and he would take his eyelids and fold it up and turn around and make a face, and I just couldn't hold it in. And so he's not only known as a great pitcher, but also a pretty disruptive, fun student.
I would love to get him. I wonder if he could still pull that off. You know, back at our family birthday parties, our family parties, I used to be able to suck in air and then burp the whole alphabet. Now, that was one of my go-tos. I can't do that anymore. So I'm wondering if Tim can still pull off the eyelid ear thing.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to be watching.
Can you, while we're waiting for Ray's come right back on. I understand, you've introduced, especially when Klitschko was in charge of the heavyweight belt, you had to learn a few Russian names. Can you throw a few at us?
Well, I always try to learn some names and phrases, wherever I go.
Yes.
Russia was pretty challenging, and some of them I put in my short-term memory. But yeah, I've learned a little Indonesian, Japanese, and French and German, and even a little Chinese. And I guess I'm better at the welcomings, like Indonesian. Bapak bapak dan ibu ibu, selamat malam kepada para penggemar tinju di Indonesia.
Wow.
And Japanese, Nippon no boxing fan no minasama konbanwa.
Nice.
And a little bit of French, German as well, but that's about all I know.
Wow, that's solid. I think we got something on tape that our crack research team just got the award for the.
And next,
do you know where this is?
The Russian national team. How about a hand for Denis Kotov?
Do you know where this is, Jamie?
And last, we have the finalist of the Russian Cup introducing Mikhail Nikolaev.
Okay, so I'll let you try to answer, but I want you to keep in mind that little baby that was getting pushed up in the air, and then I'll come back to that. But first, do you know where you were when you did that?
I'm going to say Manhattan Beach.
It's a good guess. It was the beaches of Santa Monica. We had put on this beach volleyball tournament, and I got 4 of the national team Russian players to come over and play 4 of our top pro beach players in what I called the Lufthansa Challenge.
Nice. I do remember that. I couldn't remember what beach.
And I can tell you that it was roughly 25 years ago, because that little baby that was getting pushed up in the air is my daughter, who's now 25.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're celebrating the silver anniversary of your introducing some Russians at one of Denny's tournaments that he made up out of nowhere.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations.
Yes, let's see. Nobody appreciates. Hey, I think now if I could get you to get ready, we got. I'm ready. I'm waiting. Okay.
Is Ray ready? And now, ladies and gentlemen, live from Sports Story Studio 7428 in Westchester, California, it's showtime! Introducing one of the all-time respected greats of the sport, with a career record of 29 wins and 5 losses, 23 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the Boxing Hall of Famer and boxing's pride of Youngstown, Ohio. Please welcome the popular former WBA lightweight champion of the world, introducing the one and only Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
Man, it don't get no better than that.
How are you, Ray?
I'm doing good, Jimmy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you. I'm sorry we're far away and not working together.
Yeah, Jimmy, it never gets old hearing you say that. I tell you, I'm so honored and flattered. I told Jimmy though, the greatest introduction I ever had, and this is true, was by his father, Jimmy Sr., when I fought Bobby G. Cohen in Reno. After Jimmy Sr. gave me in, I was almost embarrassed to fight. I mean, it was so good. I just wanted to thank you and good night. That's the best. I've been listening to your show. I mean, listening to Jimmy. And, Jimmy, I tell you, I said this. There's one thing, the two greatest announcers growing up, I was a boxing historian. The two announcers everyone knew from the East Coast was Johnny Addy from the Madison Square Garden and Jimmy Lennon Sr. from the West Coast. Now there's still only two, Jimmy and Michael Buffer. So, but this goes to show you, boxing is the one sport we keep shooting ourselves in the ass. Jimmy will tell you, we really do. It's a great sport, my sport, I love it, but sometimes we don't get it right. Jimmy, as great as he is, was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame before his father. In all respect, that's not right. You know that. Jimmy knows that. His father was inducted in the first year when they had the non-boxing. Jimmy Sr. should have been elected so far back in the first year. But Jimmy, did I get it right? Your dad's inducted now, isn't he?
You're correct. And, it certainly bothered me and you and along with other people. But what's nice to know is they finally got it right. And years from now, no one will ever know who came first. He is where.
No, right. Right. But it's like, look, for fight guys who know, I said, I love you. You should be in there. Absolutely. But not in front of your father. And I tell people, look, I got inducted in the Hall of Fame. I was honored. I never expected it by no means. And I really didn't. But I shouldn't be in there before my father. Even though he didn't get a chance he wasn't a world champion, he should have won the world title. He should have got an opportunity to fight for the world title. And if he did, he would have won because he already beat the champion in a non-title fight. I shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame for my father. No. And he finally, in the National Time American Sports Hall of Fame in Chicago, I was inducted in 1995, 96. And I said, look, you should have a category for the older fighters. I said, because there's so many guys that should be inducted way before me. And my father included. And they finally, like you said, they got it right. My father was inducted a couple years ago along with these other guys. Because it's like embarrassing. Anyhow, but I'm honored to be there. I'm honored to be involved. My wife, yes, Brad. My Brad's looking at him going, what are you talking, what are you speaking for? Now, I'm going to tell you, we just moved into this new house, right? We've been there about a month and a half. So as you can see, I convened today we were talking about I'm going to be on the show. So my wife said, we got to put something in the background because there was nothing there. Now we put my belts. Of course, it's just natural, of course. It was just happened to show up, right? Pictures on the floor. This is my office, but I don't even got a desk yet. Look at that. She just ordered this. I'm on a card table. I got a card table. Oh, God. Anyhow.
Ray, what do you got? What is it behind you there, Ray?
Pardon me?
What do you got behind you? I want to see.
The world, my belt, the world title belt. Above that is the North American. If I do this, I did this before this when I knocked out I pulled out there's the
yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I was the WBA a couple years ago. I was me and my wife went to Peru and at the WBA convention, and they gave me their super because I defended it 6 times. And people always say, "How many different titles?" I said, "Just one, lightweight." But I had it for a while. I had it for a couple of years, so I was very proud of that. I was very proud of it.
Wow. Hey, Ray.
Yes, sir.
Ray, this is the trophy I won at the Venice Backyard Championships. I didn't want to keep me out there hanging. I won first place with my cousin Tony, and that's what I got going for me.
Hey, and I want to. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm gonna do what you guys did. I'm gonna salute Jimmy. I'm gonna salute you. Again, very, very. It's an unsolicited commercial for my bourbon.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's unsolicited commercial.
We'll talk to Carlos about carrying your bourbon at Casablanca.
You know what? Getting it. We have it all through northeastern Ohio. get it into different states, man. It's so difficult to get liquor into different states. It's a whole. You got to go through the whole. You got to get a distributor, then you got to get the state to accept it. It's a headache, man.
Ray, if anybody can figure that out, it's you boys from Youngstown.
So, but Jimmy, what's the next fight coming up? I mean, look, I know we're all locked down, nothing's set up. But what fights are they talking about?
Man, you know as well as I do, we have an empty blank calendar.
Now,
the best we can hope for is maybe a studio fight, and who knows if that's going to happen.
Jimmy, I loved working the PBC. We've talked about it. Denny, we've said boxing was so popular in the 80s, but boxing lost its popularity. The UFC was on the way kicking boxing's behind for a long time. But because people used to say to me, what does boxing have to do to get back to where it needs to be? And I said, without network television being involved, we'll never have the same popularity. It can't be HBO, can't be Showtime, can't be pay-per-view. It's got to be network. Well, Fox and the PBC gets involved, boom. We had 26 shows last year. And how many people would come up to me, and I'm sure they told Jimmy, hey, I love the fights, love seeing you on the fights. It was a great fight. And we were doing it twice a month. It was back on the forefront of everyone's mind. And we just started earlier this year. It was doing good, and then this happened. I've never experienced anything like this in my lifetime, So
I don't think any of us have. But as I've said, to our friends and stuff, if it's our burden to carry, then it's our burden to carry. Our uncles, our dads, or whatever, and our moms and our aunts, they all had to go through the Depression. They had to make their sacrifices in WW2. And, this is the sacrifice we got to make. It's, we got to do what we got to do.
That's funny you said that, because I said to somebody, I said to a World War II vet, I ran to him, and I was not long ago, I had to go for a store run, get some groceries. Saw this elderly gentleman, and we talked a little bit, and I said, nothing in my lifetime. I said, do you know anything, can you remember anything like this in your lifetime? He said, probably World War II was his closest, and it wasn't this bad. Look, even 9/11 in our lifetime shut down New York and the surrounding area, but it didn't shut down the world, it didn't shut down the country. This thing is not like something I've never experienced. And look at all the mom and pop places, the mom and pop restaurants, like Carlos's place. They're so popular, thank God. But a lot of these mom and pop places in Youngstown, in West LA, Venice, they're never going to be able to rebound. They're never going to be able to rebound. It's unbelievable.
And very sad, very sad.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's a whole different thing, though.
Hey, Boom Boom, I have this thing where I try to ask a leading question, and then when the guest goes to answer, we eliminate them from the show.
Do that to a couple guys. Hey, I've been on the show. You've been had me on hold for an hour. Please give me a pass.
I have no intention to do that to Boom Boom Mancini, but my cousin, I have every intention of doing that, and I don't know quite how to get there. Or maybe you could ask him a question, and then when he goes to answer, that way I can put it on you.
I can't do that to Jimmy. He's the best. I can't do that. How can you do that to Jimmy?
Yeah. Here you go. You did it. Okay. Fair enough. We got him out of there, Boom Boom. I like that.
Denny, I'm just laughing because I'm looking back going, yes, it just happened to be that I'm in front of my just with the picture. My wife put everything, she placed it perfect. The pictures, the belts.
It is. It's brilliant. And I love that. I want to get to that. But, Ray, I like talking too about you as a youngster and just that idea of growing up in middle America and playing every sport that you could on your block.
Yeah, I did. Like I said, we played every sport. I went to I played sports. Here in Youngstown, we're known for boxing and football. Mm-hmm. Right now, college football, we have 5 coaches in D1 coaches. Of course, the Stoops brother, Bobby Stoops. I grew up there. They lived next street over, Cabasas down. Went to school from grade 1. Bobby Stoops was a year older. Michael Stoops was a year younger. Mark Stoops was a little kid. Said, hey, Mark, get out of here, man. You're bothering us. Now he's a coach of Kentucky, doing a wonderful job. Bo Pelini, who was at Nebraska. Then he came back to coach Youngstown State. Now he's moved back to LSU. He's working with LSU this coming year. I graduated with his brother. So, Jim Tressel, even though he's not from Youngstown originally, he's from Ohio, but he coached at Youngstown State. Now he's the president of Youngstown State University. Good friend. So, we got a lot to be proud of. I don't know if you know, Denny, Youngstown's the home of the Warner Brothers.
Oh.
The Warner Brothers are born on the north side.
Oh, wow.
The Warner Brothers, the first theater they had was in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, right over the border. The second one was downtown Youngstown, still there. And Ed O'Neill, Modern Family. Yep. Eddie's from the north side. He's born and raised here. So we have a lot to be proud of here.
You talked about, I was watching the documentary, The Good Son, and so forth, and you talked about how tough it was for anybody else to come in and fight you or your brother, back in the day, right? And so it looked like you won, because I'm affiliated with the AAU. You won the 78 Northeast AAU boxing championship out there.
Right. I won my first fight was 1976, the Junior Olympics. And then when in 1977, I went the novice class of the Golden Gloves. Yeah. I was 15. You had to be 16 to join. I was 15, just turning 16 in March. But then I went to the Northeast Ohio AAU tournament, which was in Canton, and I went to the finals and fought a kid named Leo Blackjack Simmons. And he went on to win the national championship. Now, the funny thing is, he beat me in decision. People don't understand how important to have, experience is everything in life and love, right? Experience, sure. But nothing more important, more so than in sports, especially boxing. When you're an amateur, you just got to have experience. I didn't have it that first time, but then I gained it. And then in 78, I won the Gold Gloves Open Division, Northeastern Ohio, went to Nationals, 79. And I fought in a lot of national tournaments, fought some good names, some good fighters, very good fighters. And, I was proud of my amateur career, but I had a pro style as an amateur. Yeah,
that's what I understand. You had a pro style. Was it Anthony Fletcher? Is that
Anthony Two Gun Fletcher from Philadelphia? He went on and was a pretty good pro, and then he got jammed up in some situation and unfortunately got killed. He beat me twice in amateurs. Wow. But you know what? I don't think I ever lost a third round in amateurs. So I wish I could have fought him in the pros. I lost my last amateur fight was at Melvin Paul. Melvin Paul was a former national champion. He became a contender. I think he was like number 8, 9 in one of the organizations. I wish I could have fought him in the pros. A lot of guys that fought in amateur, I wish I had a chance to fight in the pro because my style was more suited for professionals.
Right, and you're just talking amateurs, and you already brought up Blackjack and Two Guns, and then of course your Boom Boom. Your father was Boom Boom. But it's so cool because those nicknames. They don't live on these days like they used to. There's something about it. I think it was, the fact that we would just, get our news out of a newspaper and that those writers wanted to, create something. And there's something about it. I love all those nicknames.
Well, they were. Everyone had a nickname. And that's, look, sports is about nicknames. People, I can tell you, Denny, most people don't know my first name. That's the truth. I got Mel when I was champion. This is a true story. I used to get mail from Asia that said "Boom Boom USA." They did to me. That's incredible. The power of the nickname is incredible. Yeah. So, but look, growing up, about the Manasseh Mahler, Jack Dempsey, Henry Armstrong. Sure. All the great names. The Louisville Lip, Ali, right? So everybody had a nickname. The Will-O-Wisp, Willie Pep. Nicknames are something that's always been in boxing and always will be. And now you got to have something original, man. The nicknames now. Come on, man, get something more original, and don't do anything that's been there, So look, I didn't make it. My father was given that nickname in 1939. Right. A writer who saw him fight in the Broadway Arena of New York said, this guy does nothing but keep coming, throwing punches, boom, 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 all the time. Next day, Lenny Boom Boom Mancini. So
that works.
So I was given it before I was a fighter, long before I was a fighter.
Did you, there's something that your father was known for that you also were known for, and that was the idea of never taking a step backward.
Yeah, believe me. My father used to joke when he said, Raymond, I never took a step backwards. But sometimes I wish I did. And I used to laugh. But when he used to ask my style, he'd say, he's much more technical than he's much smarter than I was. I wasn't. I just understood. My father, look, I'm sure Jimmy would say, as great an announcer is, I'm sure Jimmy, in his humble, would say he's not better than his father. I'm telling you, I'm not the fighter my father was. I know that. That's not false modesty. My father fought in the era of depression.
Right.
Who had to eat. My father had over 100 professional fights and over 50-something amateur fights, was never knocked out or stopped in any amateur or pro. There's only two guys in that era outside my father. I'm sure there's more, but I don't know the names. But the two names I know were Billy Graham, top welterweight, and Kid Gavilan, former champion in the world. They were never knocked out or stopped, along with my father. You know what? I mean, everybody was stopped or knocked out at one time, not down. So, I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment in itself.
The only thing that stopped your father was a bomb exploding right next to him, and he took a bunch of shrapnel while serving in WW2, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. You know, and he went in the #1 contender in the world, came out. He was in the hospital for over a year, filled with shrapnel throughout his body. Came back to fight, came out of middleweight, came back in middleweight, and still wasn't knocked out or stopped. You know, so.
And is it true, Ray, that like he came back a middleweight not just because he was getting 3 squares a day, but because he was carrying some of that shrapnel in his body?
Of course, yeah. You know, a lot of people don't want to see him fight because of the injuries, but he said, "Look, I got to give it a try." And you know, at that time, he said, "That's the only way I knew how to make money." So he came back, but he was a shell of himself, and he knows that. So, and
right.
It's just, you know, it's fate. It's fate.
And it's such a beautiful story that you were gonna go win that belt to honor your father, and then you won that belt. And, you know, you had a tough fight against Alexis Arguello along the way. That was part of your process.
I was very fortunate. Look, at that time, the CBS, which became networks, and they wanted to showcase the lightweights. Man, I hit the juggernaut. You know, it could have been an division, the lightweights. So they had a tournament, and I beat. Whenever I was number 10 in the world, I think at the time, I beat the number 6 contender, Jorge Kid Dinamita, Kid Dynamite Morales, kid from Puerto Rico. Nobody wanted to fight him. So I fought him, and I stopped him in the 9th round. That was my first television fight. So I got a lot of heat because of my aggressive style. Then the next fight, I fought Jose Luis Ramirez. Now, Jose Luis Ramirez from Mexico, he was number 3 in the world. I was number 6. He had just fought Alexis Arguello in a non-title fight down in Miami, dropped Alexis twice, and come out with a draw, which you know means he won the fight. And I've seen the tape. He clearly won the fight. They wouldn't even take a bet in Vegas. It was off the boards because I wasn't even. It was so far out because he was so much experience. He had over 70 fights. It was my 19th fight. I'm sorry. Oh. It was my 20th fight. It was my 20th fight. So,
and you're you're 20, what are you, 20 years old, 19, 20 years old?
20 years old. I was 20 years old, my 20th fight, fighting the guy that had 70 fights. He was so confident, he came to Ohio, Warren, Ohio, next town over. And, but, you know, I was a good guy watching tapes. And I was very good at breaking guys down. I felt I was stronger than most fighters. They were going to back me up. But you don't have to make every fight a war. I knew he had a great chin. So you go in there and try to beat the guy. The bottom line of boxing, beat the guy the easiest way possible. So, you know, stay close, but I boxed him, you know, and fighting a southpaw is a very complicated fight anyway, so it's got to be a disciplined fight.
Yeah.
Fought a disciplined fight, but, you know, I was able to beat him, won all 12 rounds on all 3 cards, and so, you know.
Ray, you know, you're what, only 2021, you won the belt. I mean, I've talked to, so far, you know, I've been fortunate on this. I've talked to like somebody like Karch Karai, who's won gold medals in the Olympics. I've talked to Peter Boulware, who won a Super Bowl championship. But, and now I got to ask you, like, what's that moment like when you get the belt and you realize you are now the world champion?
You know, it's funny. I get that asked a lot. And the only answer, the best answer, it's a euphoric feeling. It's a feeling of euphoria. It's like an out-of-body experience. It really was. When they raised my hand, and people from Youngstown entered my team, my corner came, lifted me up. It's like an out-of-body experience. I tell people the only thing that compares to that feeling, to that moment, was seeing each one of my children born. Each one of them. That was as close as it gets to an out-of-body. You know, you see something that's a miracle. You say, oh, that's a miracle. But I was an out-of-body experience that I'll never experience again. And, you know, I would say, man, I'll never feel that again. But some people never get that feeling. So I don't want to sound like, you know, like, but
me and you, buddy.
There you go. You got.
Hey, so Ray, it was such like this legendary career, but the thing that was so interesting is how it converged with popular culture at that time. The fact that you were on both ESPN and CBS, right? And ESPN might as well been a network because it was so popular as a cable, and you were like part of the culture.
But at that time, it wasn't. I mean, there was the third Tuesday night. I think they started out Tuesday night fights. Then it went to Thursday eventually. But the point I'm trying to say is it was kind of a stepping stone. Either, you know, first I was on USA Cable. USA Cable wasn't national at the time. I think it was regional. Or, you know, maybe it was national, but only on certain cable outfits you were able to carry it. But ESPN was a step above. That went national. But not every household had cable at that time. And then network television. So,
okay.
And then, so it was kind of a stepping stone. It was progression. And then eventually, you know, I had a couple of fights on HBO, which they were just getting into boxing. And that was a big thing. And then I had a couple of pay-per-view fights. But look, there's nothing like fighting in front of network television. I was exposed to the capability of over 100 million people worldwide. Yeah. 60 million people domestically, 100 million people worldwide. And, you know, so my fights would get like a 9, 10 rating, which is good. So that's 9, 10 million people seeing you. You can't get 10 million people to see it. There's not even 10 million households that have HBO or cable. So it was.
It also, Ray, there's this idea of, people knew in Youngstown what it was. It's such an important area being situated between Cleveland and Pittsburgh that it had its own identity as being in the middle of those two. But then, you know, it took a hard economic turn in the late 70s. And then here comes our boy and he's doing it for his father. And it just really struck a chord, you know, with Americans. And then to watch you go from week to week on your way to that belt, it's hard for me to explain it to people that didn't go through it, that are younger. Just what kind of moment.
Well, you know, and I appreciate that. Believe me, Danny. Here's what you have to understand. For me in Youngstown, see, steel mills, we were the second biggest steel producing city in the world. Worldwide. Youngstown, Ohio. People came from all over the world, Eastern and Western Europe, immigrated to Youngstown to work in the steel mills. So Youngstown is a very diversified city, mainly Italo-American, but large trickles of Slovak community, large Slovakian community, large Greek community. And of course, but through the years, then you got the Irish and Irish, but all over the world, they came to work in the steel mills. 1977, September 19th, known as Black Monday, the steel mill shut down. In one day, over 10,000 men lost their jobs.
Wow.
1 month, 25,000. 6 months, 50,000.
Wow.
1 year, over 100,000 men lost their jobs. It decimated my town. Decimated. So people moved out of town. To this day, we've never fully recovered, really. But, so at that time, they needed something to hold on to. And I happened to be that guy. I was very fortunate, very blessed. And I think in a way, my style of fighting is very emblematic of the city.
Yeah.
Take some to give some, come forward, take some shots, but you keep coming. That's Youngstown. You know, we get knocked on our behinds, but we're going to keep coming. We're not, you know, you can't deter us. So I think my relationship with my city is different than most. It really is. And so at that time, I was what the town needed.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me when I tell you, and I mean this sincerely, the city of Youngstown had a large part of my success. A large part. They carried me a lot further than my body wanted to go at times. Trust me, they carried me. So they followed me wherever I fought. Atlantic City, New York, Las Vegas, they followed me and they rooted. and it was a big part of who I am. And you know, I was out in LA for 30 years. I moved there in 1985. 5 years ago now, I moved back to my city of Youngstown. Been back 5 years now, but I always wanted to come back. You know, and then I was out there for 30 years. Lived in Santa Monica. My kids graduated from Sam, Ohio. People say, "Where are you from?" I say, "Youngstown, Ohio." They go, "Don't you live in Santa Monica?" I go, "Yeah, man. That's my kids' home, not mine."
Yeah.
I never considered a home. I knew it was a start. I always wanted to come back, and I was fortunate that I was able to do that.
It was while you were out there, it was about the mid 90s, and I had a company called Lennon Sports, and we had a sign out front of right on Ocean Park Boulevard there. And so you saw that name and you came by, and then you walk in and I go, "Holy shit, that's Boom Boom." And
I remember that.
Go, "Hey, I saw the name out there, Lennon, any relation to Jimmy Lennon?" I was like, "Absolutely," you know. And then I was like, "Wow." And so anyways, I said, "Yeah, you know," and I said something to the effect we're going to be playing some hoops that night at St. Monica. And then you show up and you're way better than everybody else. Which was great, but it was so great. Like, I brought Boom Boom. I was like, "Yeah, this is my boy Boom Boom right here."
I appreciate it. I love playing running down. I used to love playing in Santa Monica YMCA. We had some good runs there. A lot of actors. We used to have 12 o'clock games on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, then they did they did the renovation of the Y in the late 90s, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was it. Games never. That was it. I missed them days. But you know, let me tell you something. I know Jimmy. You know, people know Jimmy Lennon. They know you, Denny. But my man, Kip Lennon, that's my guy. You know, and the group Venice is all your cousins. Group Venice, right? And,
yeah, we
did. Kip's kids went to school with my kids.
Right.
And so, and his sister Annie's daughters went to school with my boys. So, yeah.
Kip, we did a show the other night talking about our backyard championships. And Kip couldn't even pull some free food out of Gilbert's El Indio. So we could have dropped your name, is my point. And then he might have some free food from Gilbert's. So Boom Boom, I know that you're keeping in shape doing some jiu-jitsu these days.
I haven't rolled for about, last time I rolled was 2013.
Okay.
My body feels too good. You know, I got bone on bone, both shoulders. I'm going to eventually have to get them replaced. The doctors tell me I'm fighting it. It was funny because when I came back, doctor said, "Yeah, hey, Kip is medicine, and there you go." I came back. I got bone on bone, both shoulders. So my doctor told me out there. He said, "Look, man, my doctor Rand McLean in Santa Monica. He said, "Look, man, you got to work out smarter, not harder." I said, "My new mantra." So I stopped rolling because I said, I got my purple belt. I thought I won the world title. Look. Then all I want to know is, you know, there's a lot of angry people out now in Santa Monica. Why? They got the sun. They go, "Why would you got to be angry for?" I don't get it. So I wanted to learn how to fight on my back because God forbid, you know, a lot of angry, like I said, a lot of angry people. God forbid you get a beef in the street. 9 out of 10 times in the street, you're going to the dirt.
Yeah.
So I know that if I stand up, I want to know how to fight on my back. So I think I got enough that at least I know if I had to get into it, you know. But
Hey, fair enough. Well, I think this is probably a good segue to bring in another Ohio boy. Now, you seen the movie Field of Dreams?
Yeah, of course. One of the great ones.
Yeah. So right at the end, in the last 5 minutes, is when Kevin Costner's character's dad appears, and they have that catch, and it's the whole movie comes up to that point. And so we got another Ohio boy.
What part of Ohio?
Let's ask him. I think it's Sharon Center.
Hey.
Hi, Dwier.
Hi, Danny. Hey, Ray.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I grew up in Sharon Center, right up by Akron.
Okay, well, that's northeastern. See,
we're
only 40 minutes from Akron, so there you go.
We were home. You were such an inspiration to my high school buddies, man. Right out of Youngstown, we were stoked, man. Congratulations on your career.
So I think our crack team has done some research here, and we got the two towns. And we drew another line up here to Northeast Ohio. See, that's up there, Madison and Ashtabula, where I have some really good friends, the Gowdies, and then also the Dragas and the Willis family. And we are going to do a story on a team from Madison High School. We already went there last year and covered their game. and they have this motivational technique you'd love, Boom Boom, called the 212. That's the point where water can be steamed and boiled, and then it can drive a locomotive. And so he used that to have 20 great years of football. Tim Willis did up in that area, and so we went and covered his last game, and so that's going to be coming in August. So it's a shameless plug for what we're doing, and I thought I would just throw it in there. So we were all just talking Ohio talk as if I'm from there.
It looks like a Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Maybe the Berea Triangle.
Some people come in there and they never get out. Never. But see, if you, in the youngsters never say people disappear. No, people can disappear, and they do.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They do. So, Boom Boom, you saw the you said you saw the movie, and so it's a beautiful story about a father and son. And I just thought it would be nice, the Ohio connection and the father and son connection to pull that together.
I didn't know that. I didn't know the Youngstown connection. Now, when I watch, I have a greater understanding.
It'll mean more to you now.
Yes, it will. That's exactly right. It will.
And my son in the movie's named Ray, so I might as well be talking to you.
Yeah, that's right. and also, didn't you have Ray Liotta playing that movie too?
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
There's a lot of Rays in there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh wow. And Ray Castro sings all our jingles and our stupid little things at the end. So here we are.
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, Boom Boom, I would never be so
swipe me out. Don't worry. You can just give me a pass.
I have a better idea because I don't want to make any enemies in Youngstown, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm thinking you just say boom boom and then you disappear.
Okay, I'll do that. Hey, pleasure talking to you. Nice to meet you. Maybe I'll get to meet you in person down the road.
Yeah.
Thank you, Denny. I appreciate it.
Love you, Ray.
Boom, boom, boom.
That was see, I'm a thinker. I've been through there. What's up, Dwier? How's it going?
Not too much, Denny. How are you?
That's kind of cool. Sorry we made you wait so long, but I mean, the Boom Boom, man.
Hey, man, I was enjoying the show. Believe me, it was really fun. I enjoyed hearing, Jamie Lennon, the whole works. It was right. Geeter was fun. It was a great show.
Yeah, that Geeter's a trip. You should see back in the day on the beach volleyball tour, the introductions he would do. He would just do the stream of consciousness, kind of like he did there, but even longer. And he would just work the whole crowd, and he'd get everybody just going nuts. And the next thing you know is, they're just all going wacky. And then he's like, he throws it to, he'd get right up in the person's face and yell at him. It was good entertainment.
That sounds great.
It's really interesting. Okay, so I want to say this so everybody understands. We're going to get into it on long form on Monday. So everybody knows, like on our Monday show, you and I are going to sit down really break down the book. And this is also my way of saying I haven't read the book yet. Okay. Just my wife's a teacher, and I found out it's way better to come clean at the beginning. So
like if you have a girlfriend.
Yeah. And so I haven't read that quite yet, but I did watch the movie the other day, and I was fascinated how everything about the movie is basically about your character. And you come in for the last 5 minutes, and they're a beautiful 5 minutes.
Well, I didn't even realize that when we were shooting the movie, because the book that it's based on, Shoeless Joe, the father comes in early in the movie. And so I didn't realize the significance that change would make, along with the beautiful score that James Horner wrote. I think did a lot to kind of raising the import of my entrance at the end. But yeah, I feel very lucky to be a part of it.
So it's from those 5 minutes that you wrote this memoir about father's fate and the Field of Dreams, because so many people came up to you and went, wow, like it really triggered something in people that you would bump into. And you've been an actor for forever.
30 years. Yeah. Right.
And then that one, everybody comes up to you and goes and shares a story.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And, I don't look, as you can see, like I did 30 years ago, but for some reason I tattooed my features into their brain, and I'll just be, in a grocery store and somebody comes up to me in tears, and I'm, and then I hear these wonderful stories about what the movie meant to them. So it's been a very interesting part of my life.
Part of the inside story, I think you told on the DVD or something, was that your father had recently passed. Had passed not long before you had to go out and be on set, and that you felt, you know, obviously you're carrying a heavy heart, but also maybe you're able to, like, you know, lend a little bit more to your role because of that?
Yeah, you know, my dad died unexpectedly 36 days before I went to Iowa. So I pretty much went from his funeral to the set where I played a dead father coming back to have a catch with their son. So you can imagine it was a very kind of confusing and an emotional time for me.
I would imagine as much. And now you certainly you've done a lot, TV, film, and stage, and so forth. Did you kind of know what you were getting into on this one? Did you have any inkling that this might be the kind of movie it's become?
Really didn't. I think a lot of us did that movie because the script was just so beautiful. It doesn't have anything that would make a movie successful. I mean, there's no sex, there's no violence. You know, it's about baseball, which at the time baseball movies were a pariah. The movie Bull Durham came out while we were shooting in Iowa, and I can talk more about that Monday. But there was no, you know, and of course, you know, Bull Durham had made pretty good box office, but up until then, nobody had made a baseball movie for years and years, or certainly one that was successful. So
yeah,
it really didn't. It didn't seem like this was going to be some big movie, and certainly not one I'd be talking about 31 years later.
Which is. Hopefully you're good with it, because I think the rest of us, we attach so many emotions and memories to that, you know? And so it's great when somebody who is intimately involved with it is able to shed a little bit of light. And one of the questions I'm going to ask you that I was looking into, I guess the director, he called it the magic hour, which was when the sun was setting in Iowa. And they had to make sure that your and Kevin Costner's scene was done just at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I was originally hired to come there for 3 days to Iowa to shoot this movie. I lived in Venice at the time, and when they decided to shoot it at magic hour, there's only 15 minutes of that light in the sky, so we ended up shooting that almost one line at a time for 2 weeks. I ended up being there for 2 weeks, and so you know, everybody would rush out, and I'd say, "Is this heaven?" Okay, that's it. That's all we got today. And we come out the next day, and Kevin would say, "No, it's Iowa." And you know, so it was a pretty interesting way to shoot a scene that's particularly one that's so emotionally charged.
It is. I also read somewhere, I don't know if that's true, but it's like he said, Costner's character said, "Hey, Dad, want to have a catch?" But he didn't originally say that, and that it was supposed to be almost just like him and like either a ghost or something along these lines, that it didn't test well, or.
Yeah, what happened to Kevin and I and Phil, the director, when we were shooting it, you know, we decided to sort of play this tension of, can I say that you're my dad? And that's why, you know, when he introduces me, say, this is John. And he doesn't say it. I think my thinking was that this magical field, that it might all disappear if we jinx it by saying this stuff. So it was kind of fun playing the scene that way. But when they did some screenings with the audience members, a lot of people left the movie. They were kind of upset. They're like, well, geez, why didn't, you know? And so, you know, that was confounding to Phil, because he thought he'd written it subtly, but enough to. So anyway, they ended up putting the word dad in there. And if you watch the movie, and I hate to ruin this final moment for anybody, but you see Kevin say, "Hey," and then they cut to me when he says the word dad, because it was put in post-production. And of course, his lips weren't saying it, so they had to put it in there. And you know, I mean, everybody thinks of it that way, but it really was not in the original script.
The scene, you know, where you're playing catch, he had also said something like he was nervous about playing catch there, not because of being on screen or anything, but because he didn't want to ruin the light, and he was afraid that if a ball ticked off his glove or if something didn't go right, that would waste that beautiful light that you guys were playing catch in. And did you feel that same kind of pressure at all?
Well, I didn't so much while we were shooting the scene, but that final take, I mean, and I wrote about this extensively in the book. I mean, this was before CGI. So there were actually 3,000 Iowa farmers in 1,500 cars that were parked along the road for 3 miles all the way back into the town of Dyersville. And they were listening to the director on the AM radio, giving them instructions. And there was this helicopter, and the camera operator, Davy Jones, was hanging out of the thing with this camera on his, and you know, it was tense. We always thought we'd probably get one take at it, because we didn't know how long it would take. And sky had to be just right because it had to be, bright enough that you could see the field on the ground. But when they pan up and you see the lights, it had to be dark enough to be able to see the headlights. So it was very, tense environment. And I'd never worried about dropping the ball when you're playing catch. My whole year is playing with my brother in the backyard. But suddenly I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this would be so great. The film finally gets to the father and he says, want to have a catch? And he throws the ball and it drops out of my mitt. I thought, what an idiot I would look like. So I definitely got very nervous. Kevin's a good ball player. So, I don't, if he had some nerves, he didn't show them.
Well, as a guy who's coached for a long time and actually coached some high school baseball, I was breaking it down like I would, and I thought you were pretty good. You look good. It's good stuff.
Well, thank you so much. On top of that, the mitt they gave me was this 50s catcher's mitt that you couldn't even feel when the ball hit it. It was solid as rock, and you couldn't even tell what. So I was really, I used my two-handed catch that I'd learned, from my dad when I was a kid, and boy, I was definitely relieved when the take was over. Unfortunately, we did 2 more takes. So, but anyway, I managed to keep them dropping it for that part of the time.
I'm looking forward to getting into the book, this weekend, because I hear it's easy to just go through. It's like everybody tells me you'll see, and so I'm looking forward to doing that and then breaking this down on Monday. So I had told you you were going to be batting last in the lineup, but I moved you up in the lineup because Shea showed up late for the game today, and so I had to discipline Shea and put him at the back of the lineup.
Okay, well,
so I'd like to bring him in. I don't know if do you remember Shea Cotton when he was a prep hoopster? He was as big as it got, and I'm going to bring him into the lineup now. Let's go. We're coming in 2 and in 1. Hey, Shea.
How's it going, Denny?
What's happening, buddy? Say
good, man. Hanging out, right? How you doing?
Good.
Good. Shea, we were just chatting. I didn't know if you caught what I said, but I moved you to the back of the lineup today.
Yeah, I peeped that.
It had nothing to do with that, man.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Me and Shea had it set up because the guy at the top of the show is Carlos, that has Casablanca restaurant, and
right.
He played for me when he was a kid, right? So he was like this really good, like grade school basketball player. He was good, athlete in high school and stuff. And so I was giving him a chance. Like Shea was going to ask him, he was going to go, "Oh, I hear you're a pretty good ball player." And the second he went to answer, I was going to wipe him off, And we had this all planned up. But we'll get it back. We'll set him up again, Shea. Don't worry.
Absolutely.
So, Dwier, I know we're going to chat on Monday, but what did it signify when the actors in Field of Dreams would walk into like the cornfields? See, that's what I'm talking about, Shea. That's thinking on the fly. Boom. Do you like that?
I like that.
I know. And you're wondering right now, damn it, what's he going to do to me? That's all right. Okay. And I got to see him Monday, right?
Man.
Like, yeah, I got to see him Monday and like, oh, I was just joking. It's cool. Hey, so Shea, I'm glad you got back in. I know your internet was giving you a problem, but thank you for being here and doing this. You got a really interesting perspective on athletics and today, given that you're pre-internet. Oh wait, first, Shea, we got to get a little work out of the way. I understand you got one of these today.
Absolutely, I do. Right here.
Tell us what it is. A little bit higher. Maybe pull your top of your screen down just a little bit.
Let me see.
Yeah, there we go. And it's a brunch. It's a certificate for 2 for brunch at Casablanca.
Absolutely. It's Sunday brunch for 2. Casablanca. Let me see if we can
there it is. Yeah, I'll do this. And Shea, what I was thinking is our fans could screenshot that, right?
Okay.
And then Carlos is giving out free bunch to like hundreds of people.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, man. I heard a lot about the restaurant. I can't wait to taste it. Good.
So getting back to what I was saying, it was such a unique situation that you're in. You're this outstanding player in effect, the pre-internet age. And, but you got thrown into the popular culture being on, Sports Illustrated and Sports Center and all of this. And that must have been a lot to go through.
Yeah, it was a tall order. At that time, pre-social media, that was the biggest platform. SI was the bar for us. So I knew once I got to that level that I had arrived, and it was pretty much a bullseye on my back from that point on. But everything happens for a reason in life, and it's what we do, what we're given, and it's not how we start, it's how we finish. So I'm just focusing on these next 2 quarters in my life. I've gotten through the first 2, going into the 3rd quarter now, and I'm known to finish strong. So we're looking forward to the release of our documentary here, Man Child. As you see, we've got the poster in the back.
Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, we showed that off the top. So tell me a little bit about, and then I want to ask you a couple questions. But tell me a little bit about how people are going to find out eventually about Man Child. We'd love to, keep diving into this with you. But go ahead and tell us how they're going to find out about it.
Well, they'll find out about it through my IG. Typically, I do a lot of personal work that way on my IG handle at Shea Cotton, just like it's spelled on the screen. We have a manchild page as well. I have a website, therealmanchild.com, where you can see the trailer. It's up now. A lot of content you can peruse through there, a lot of visual aids and videos, stuff like that as well.
I got a couple questions. One, I want you to weigh in on the cap, my boy Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Where do you think he stands in if you're going to argue all-time great players?
Man, that's a great question. I think Kareem, I'd have to put him in top 5, man. I say that because I think he revolutionized the game with one move, the hook shot. And it's just amazing to me that most centers don't use it today because it's unstoppable when you perfect it.
It's interesting too. His circumstances taught him that shot, but everybody saw it and could certainly use it. But they outlawed him dunking in college, and so then as John Wooden, his coach in UCLA, said, all you did was unleash the greatest scorer in the history of the game, because once he didn't rely on that dunk and he started getting that touch around the hoop, he not only developed that skyhook to perfection, but he was so good at just with a soft touch around the hoop.
Absolutely. He was very graceful. You got to remember, he did karate. He appeared in a Bruce Lee film.
That's right.
He was like a Renaissance man. He was a big time novelist. He read a lot of books. He probably more of a quiet soul. I think he led by his action, but he got the respect from his peers really quickly. And the Showtime era with the Lakers was one of the best ever. So I'm so thankful to be grown up in that time. I really fell in love with basketball with Magic running the rock and him in the middle. That's a tough 1-2 tandem. That might have been one of the best ever. Arguably you got Shaq and Kobe and Jordan and Pippen, stuff like that. And then you had obviously Bird in Boston with the big fella in the middle, McHale. So
yeah.
But I'm a Lakers fan through and through. I think Kareem was a special type of talent, and formerly known Lou Alcindor, obviously, for the historians. Yep. But I think that skyhook should be patented, and a lot more centers should use it today because it works.
Shea, you see my Laker banner hanging back there, and my Showtime Lakers were so big, and so much so that my dog, who appears at the end of every one of my productions, kicking it out, and I can explain that in a second. But his official name is Buck Magic Lennon.
There you go.
Right? So I think Magic's gotta be like, Magic's gotta go. Wait a second, I gotta come see this dog.
Right.
That's right. But at the end of everything, we tag it. We say, kick it. I say, kick it out, Buck. And it's because he's celebrating the fact that he just took a dump in the backyard. And he kicked it out. You'll see. Hang on to the end, man. You'll see.
Right.
Yeah, he's down on that. But that's my boy, Buck Magic. That Buck Magic. You grew and were very strong and athletic young. I did some deep research and found out that you used to dominate the leagues at Peck Park in San Pedro, California, back when Gino Grajeda was one of the guys running the park. That's where I got my intel. And tell me a little bit. I think your older brother's James?
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys were running the joint back then, huh?
Yes, we learned from some of the older guys. A guy out of the Yugoslavian area of the country, Mike Sestic, was a big time player out of San Pedro High School at that time. Joy Johnson, Dennis Johnson, late great, rest in peace. His brother was another standout guy in the Pedro area, the Harbor area. You know, he had a 50-inch vertical leap. I think he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for one of the highest high jumps in the history. So
was that Joey?
Yeah, Jumping Joy. Jumping Joy.
I've never seen anything like it since.
Yeah, I mean, it's unreal. It's the first time I saw a guy shooting downward jump shot banks from 45-degree angles. I said, this is unreal.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. He was unbelievable. So you're there, and so you're going about like, is this true? You're like 6 foot 180 when you're like 12 years old?
Yeah, this is around that time. I was gaining ground pretty quick because I would always play against my older brother, you know, James Cotton Jr. He was 2.5 years older, so I would always play against bigger, stronger guys, and he was a very tenacious defender. So he would force me to go into an arsenal of moves just to break free, to try to get a shot off or make something happen. And I got used to that, you know, that friction from a young age. So the fear factor was gone, and as well as that, the physicality that a lot of guys shy away from. That's something that I tend to embrace.
Well, how old were you when you could first dunk, Shea?
Got my first dunk at 12 years old in the AAU National Championship game.
Wow. I was 15 playing at St. Bernard High School, and I could do a layup and slap the backboard.
Okay, that was big right there, though. Yeah, that was big.
Hey, sometimes I come in and I'd be like, bat, 2 hands.
2 hands, okay.
Yeah, on the bottom. I'm not gonna lie, it was the bottom part where the foam is, but
you still touch me.
Wow, 12 years old. Come on, that must have freaked people out.
Yeah, you know, it's something that was unprecedented, I think, at that time. Probably still today, for the most part. I don't see a lot of kids with that type of athleticism, but you know, I was training at an alarming rate. I really wanted to be great. I dared myself. I had an older brother that helped push me. I had a great trainer, Mark Marinovich and A.D. Fiorquito. Those two guys, very exceptional in their own right. And I took everything that they taught me, and I applied it consistently, and, you know, it just kept getting better.
I also heard this, and I don't know if it's true, so correct me if I'm wrong. You went to like one of Magic Johnson's camps or something like that.
Correct.
And they took you out of the age group and made you play with the counselors or something like that.
That's right. That was the first time I fell in love with basketball. I mean, Magic was in his heyday. This camp was at UCSD in San Diego.
Okay.
And Magic was very involved with the camp. That's when I fell in love with him. You know, just as a professional, because he didn't just show up to speak and take pictures and sign autographs. He actually spent time with us.
Oh, I love that. Was that was the REMAC built in, that big, huge arena they have, UCSD?
No, this was just like a big setup where they had like kind of auxiliary type of gym. It was old, you know, it was kind of run down a bit. But I mean, he came in and he just lit up the gym. And ever since that camp, I was like, man, you know, this guy is a professional. You know, and it made me appreciate the Lakers and him that much more.
What did they do? Did they just come over and they go, hey kid, you're in the wrong age group?
Honestly, it was so long ago I can't even remember, but I just know that, like, I had a knack for the game, and at that time he would wear the weapons. You know, they had the Converse weapons. So I showed up at the camp. I had a pair of my own. Like, I was ready to go, man. Honestly, I just remember as I got older, by the time I was 15, I was playing in the UCLA men's gym on Magic Johnson's team. I mean, I'd literally walk into the gym and he'd be yelling, "I got Cotton." So, you know, you're 15.
What?
Things like that are happening. I mean, you know, it's kind of like it's speechless. It takes my breath.
That's crazy town. So this is great. I mean, I can imagine how good this documentary is going to be. And we had talked about, we set up a Monday, I think maybe the first Monday in May, where we can, you know, go even further in depth. And so maybe along the way, I'm sure people are going to be interested in what you got going. You know, maybe you'll come back to one of these Friday nights. We'll get you in early so you can give Carlos a hard time.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan.
That would be great. I got to get out before. Do you know who Catherine Plummer is? I talked about her at the top of the show.
Not exactly.
So she won 3 national championships, women's volleyball at Stanford. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, 3 player of the years as well. And so you can argue her the greatest player ever, and she's going to be a great Olympian and the like. Anyways, so I promised that I would release my crowd to go to her trivia that she's doing for I think it's called something. It's a hunger project that she's helping raise some money for. So
Okay.
I got to release everybody so they can go over there and do the trivia thing. But
Well,
I certainly appreciate you hanging around for the show.
Absolutely, Denny. I'm here, man. Let's keep it moving, and thank you for the opportunity.
You know it. And I'll tell you what, I can't think of a creative way to throw you off. I had one earlier, and it slipped me because of margaritas.
Man Child Gone will work for me, Denny. Man Child Gone.
All right, Man Child Gone. All right, Man Child. I'm getting really nice at the end here, letting Boom Boom and Shea throw themselves out. All right. Hey, I know it's a long show. It's a pretty good show.
Unbelievable.
All right, Jimmy June McGee, introducing Jimmy, introducing Boom Boom. All right. Got my Ohio people in there. Not bad. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're done.
We're done.
Oh, well, but we never leave.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, sports stories. And in the hour of podcast, Denny's sitting right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, sports stories. And when the sporting-hearted people living in the world agree, this can be the answer, sports stories. And though they may be parting, there is still a chance that they will see. Sports stories is the answer. Let it be. Thank you. See you next week.
Kick it out, Book. Yeah, kick it out. Kick it out. Yeah, buddy. Way to kick it out. Good job.